Changing Your Life with Beck Saswani and Chris Massey for Sculpt and Flow.
Proudly sponsored by Align Accounting, Newcastle's fresh approach to accounting, and Sage Painting, Newcastle's award-winning painting company. In this episode, I'm going to be chatting with Phillip McIntyre. And Phillip's the Professor of Communication and Media at the University of Newcastle. And we're going to have a chat about how he got mobile with Sculpt and Flow. Phillip, when he came, initially when he came on board, it was actually through his wife, Julie. He wasn't even really looking for a health and wellbeing program. And it was through Julie, his wife, that he decided, okay, right, I am going to give this a go. When he came on aboard, his mobility was extremely limited. I remember us talking about him having difficulty getting in and out the shower. He certainly couldn't get on a bike, which is something he can do now. And I remember from years of a lot of physical work, his body was, for want of better phrase, shot, really. His knees, it was painful for Phillip to move, to be mobile. And so what we've put together for Phillip is a practice that combines every area of what we offer so that he's able to get strong and mobile, that he can now play with his grandchildren, take them here, there and everywhere. He can ride his bike to and from the studio and elsewhere with no problem. So he is a really great example of someone that we're working with that has absolutely changed their life, their mobility, through working with us here at Sculpt and Flow.
No matter where you are on the planet or how hectic your schedule is, Sculpt and Flow can be your partner in fitness and flow anywhere around the world. Reach out now, sculptandflow.com.au.
Phillip McIntyre, welcome. Thank you very, very much for being part of our very first season of Changing Your Life with Sculpt and Flow Fitness, and your very own unique pod, which is how to get mobile with Sculpt and Flow Fitness. How are you? I should start with, how are you doing today?
I'm very well. I've already been to the gym, Sculpt and Flow gym over there in Mayfield West, and been put through my paces.
Yes.
So I'm very familiar with S&F as we go on.
Yes, so you're having a Sculpt and Flow filled morning.
I am.
Yeah. So can you tell us, Phillip, just for those who are listening and who don't, may not have met, you don't know who you are or who Sculpt and Flow are too much, what type of training do you engage with us? And can you tell us a little bit about that, like the modalities and perhaps why you do what you do?
Sure. Well, over the last 3 years, I've managed to get it to the point where I've got a session on Monday, Wednesday and Friday.
Yeah.
And I used to do that with many years ago with aerobics when it first came into the country. And the good thing about that is it spreads it across the week and I get a couple of days off of the weekend. So I do, I call it PT, that's what I write in my diary, on Monday.
Yeah.
And then I do Pilates, which is a reformer-based process, on Wednesday, and then I do yoga on Friday.
Yeah.
So I've got what I call the 3 S's on the go, which is strength, stamina, and stretching.
Brilliant.
All working really well.
Yeah. Do you write that at the beginning of your week, SS and S? Or no, that's just taking it too far.
It is.
No, that's a bit too much.
No, I wrote that down some years ago.
Oh, okay.
The three fundamental things that any form of exercise should be engaged in.
Yes. And was that, can I ask, was that how you, did you come to Sculpt and Flow Fitness looking for those 3 different modalities? Like, as you said, it's something that that we all need in terms of the strength and the stretching side together, in the core strength, that they all work hand in hand. Did you come to us looking for that, or is it something that's evolved over the time that you've worked with us? Does that make sense?
It does. Makes absolute sense. However, there's a very different story to why I came to SNF.
Oh, okay, go for it.
And I'm sure my wife wouldn't mind me saying
Is it PC?
So. It can be.
Okay.
But I'm sure my wife won't mind me saying, but I came to Sculpt and Flow initially so that she would stop nagging me to go, because she'd already been going. So that's the honest reason.
Yeah.
But in doing all of that, my initial conversation with Chris, who was my initial contact really, was around what my goal was. And my goal at that stage, because I'm 72 now,
yes,
was to stay upright till I fall over. That's my ultimate goal.
Yeah.
And so far it's working.
Yeah.
So far all of the sessions are helping me stay upright in one way or another. And of course that's metaphorical. You know, I need to stay mobile in order to do that.
Yeah. And with the staying upright for as long as possible, can you tell us a little bit about other areas of your life where, that's just going off what you're talking about in terms of staying upright and taking that a little bit further with how that takes itself into other areas, like playing with your grandkids or getting on the bike, which is a really interesting story, but that's up to you if you want to talk about that just yet. But yeah, are you able to talk to us and tell the listeners a little bit more about how it's functional, what you're doing, I guess, where we're going with this?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take a step sideways that you might not expect, but I'm a professor at the university, and I'm interested in systems, and systems have a certain characteristics, and I think that apart from all the others, I'll just concentrate on this one. Everything is interconnected one way or another, and everything is relational. So what I do at the gym, of course, from my point of view, has an immediate effect on everything else that I do.
Yeah.
So yes, I am able to spend time with the kids within limits, of course, for my age. I was telling a story to Em this morning about when I was about 50 plus, playing my last game of rugby league with my sons, because I got carried away thinking that I was much, much younger than being 50 plus, and wound up on my side smacking my hip when I got gently tapped by one of my sons. Yeah. I suspect it wasn't a gentle tap, but so I thought, perhaps I shouldn't be doing this. But what this allows me to do is actually, be part of their lives. It also stops me moaning and groaning, because I've got nothing to moan and groan about, and that's the last thing they want to hear, really.
Yeah.
So you want a grandparent that can do things with you at your level, and also, be part of your life, and that's a real positive thing. Just to add to that, my wife went off playing tennis last night with Isaac, one of my sons. Yeah. And she's done that on a regular basis, and I would probably suggest that, without telling her story, but I'm going to anyway. That's down to the exercise that she does with this crew. Yes. And I'm much the same way. And as far as the bike goes,
it'd been some years, hadn't it?
Yeah.
Before, so how long had it been before that you'd been able to get on a bike and ride a bike before? Was it last year? Because you've been with us for 4 years.
Yeah. No, it was a couple of years ago.
Okay.
That you probably saw me ride to.
I've got some lovely photos.
You have. Yeah. To the gym.
Yeah.
But I, at the end of my time at university, which is basically an office job, I spent a lot of time either sitting down or standing up at the desk. In other words, being static. Yes. Which is not good for your body, either standing up or sitting down. I have friends who have a standing desk, but they also have a conveyor belt that they walk on while they're typing, just to overcome that problem.
They really?
Yes, they do.
They really?
Yes. I'm not pulling your leg.
Just for the listeners, and I'll get onto this.
This is how some of them have written books.
And it's just some of Philip's and our conversations can take interesting corners and twists and turns. Just because I think what's really interesting in the connection that we have is, obviously through the physical work that we're doing together, that I'm coming from, obviously there's the physiological the side and the logic behind what we're doing, certainly with the yoga and the Pilates side of things, but yet there's also this tapping into the feeling and the out there stuff,
whatever that
is. But what's really interesting about a lot of conversations that we have is there is a connection between that, and you've already mentioned your position at the university and the academic side, let's call it, that you bring into understanding of the work, and how that's been so interesting for me and such a learning curve. Thank you.
That's okay.
Because I've learned as well through learning and working with you that they come together. Say, for example, when we talked about dynamic equilibrium, or, I mean, we can talk about that now. If there's something you'd rather elaborate on, I'd really love you to share with me and with the listeners if a specific example of how we or you have related what we do together to let's call it more of an academic understanding. Is that a good way of framing that?
No, it's fine. I work with creative systems. I'm interested in how novel things come into being. Part of that is to do with looking at the people who bring creative things into being, who are innovative themselves. And what that then leads to is an understanding of expertise. So you immerse yourself in a particular domain of knowledge in order to get really good at it, to put it very simply. That's one thing that you have to do. There are others as well, but let's concentrate on that for a second.
Yeah.
So if you immerse yourself in the domain of knowledge, which both you and Chris and Emily have.
Sorry, just very quickly, just for those that who are listening, Emily is an amazing PT, personal trainer that works with us, who's also amazing at teaching Pilates and yoga. So just quickly, just so everyone knows. Sorry, carry on. Yeah. So
Emily Hampton, to give her a full name.
Emily Hampton,
who is getting married very shortly, so I'm not sure she'll remain at Hampton. But back to your original question.
Yes.
There's a domain of expertise that you have to immerse yourself in to become an expert at what you do. And I think we started talking, well, certainly with Chris and with you, I think we've both had conversations about your level of expertise and certainly Chris's level of expertise. I might have mentioned at some point, you might have identified something in my body and you might point to that and say, do this or whatever. And I'm not putting that as succinctly as I can. And Chris does the same thing. And it amazes me from my professional point of view as an academic studying these things, the level of knowledge, the level of expertise that sits behind comments like that or actions like that. I can tell from that professional point of view that both you and Chris particularly have got a really deep knowledge of the areas that you're concerned with, yoga, Pilates and so on, and certainly PT and strength training, etc. Because it comes in the actions that you put in place. It comes in the comments that you make, which may, for both of you, be quite offhand because you're just so immersed in it.
Yes.
And I would imagine too that, as I've done a couple of times, I've stopped and asked you, where does that come from?
Yes.
How do you know that? And then I can see the cogs grinding in your head because most experts have subsumed that knowledge deep into their being to the point where they probably can't even remember learning it or it being there or whatever the case is. But that's one of the things that was highly attractive about Sculpt and Flow was the level of expertise as well as the level of care and so on that goes into those training sessions, which I can identify and I can put, I can codify in a professional sense to, well, that goes there and that goes there and, this is how it occurred and so on.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about reflective practice at all, but that's what I'm talking about at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there are things like that that I think I'm seeing in what you and Chris in particular do that make your processes valuable to be involved in.
Thank you. Yeah. It's really nice to hear that, and yeah, thank you for acknowledging the expertise that does go behind the practice of whether we're teaching yoga or Pilates or the personal training side of things. That although it might we might not be standing in front of you as a doctor or a physiotherapist, but there you have identified the experience and the knowledge that we have, and I really thank you for that.
That's okay.
Because in the conversations that we have are there's as I said, I think working with you for me is one of the relationships I have with clients where I'm learning from everyone, but this particular learning is really intriguing to me. Is bringing together always the kind of the academia into what I'm teaching you as well.
Yes.
So we've touched on a little bit about what brought you to Sculpt and Flow.
Don't worry. It's not all serious conversation.
No, it's not.
It can run the full gamut from absolutely absurd to very serious.
It can take lots of swings and roundabouts,
That's
and
right.
it can get pretty out there, which
Quite surreal at
it
times.
can get very surreal, which I also have to say is brilliant, because there's one thing about our sessions that really stands out to me is the humour. I
Yes.
mean, we have good fun in all our sessions, but I would say maybe one of those conversations will happen during this podcast, so the listeners will know what I'm going on about. But we can just go around a few swings and roundabouts, but it just keeps things real, keeps things fun, fresh, and it establishes that connection, which I think is just a pleasure.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about what brought you to Sculpt and Flow. So thank you, Julie, and thank you for listening to Julie, and a little bit about your background. If you're happy to, could you elaborate a little bit more on, say, with your life experience off of or out of the gym, like where you were when you came to us, what you're navigating through now, if there's something specific that's standing out, maybe with a student or something you might be working on, or a paper or a particular book or article, and where you're looking at moving to. I mean, that's a huge...
I'm writing a memoir at the moment.
Oh, yes, of course you are.
So you're asking me to give you a précis?
Yes, if you'd like to just concise it down into, let's say, or approximately
2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, 2 or 3 minutes. That'd be great. Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay, go.
No worries. Well, I can actually, because I think it's an important story to understand.
Yeah.
Let's say at the first half of my life, I was exceedingly active. I didn't set out to be that way. I just was. Chris and I would talk about this. That I played rugby league at school, and then the jobs that I had. I was a furniture removalist. That's a very physical job.
Yeah.
While I was being a furniture removalist, I was also surfing every other second that I had. That's also quite physical.
Yeah.
And then I transitioned into being a musician. Now, people don't think, you just exercise your fingers, really.
Yes.
But when you've got to carry a couple of ton of gear into a show, do the show, 3 45-minute sets under hot lights, jumping all around the place, doing all the things that stupid musicians do, and then both on stage and off. And then you've got to carry the gear back out again.
Yeah.
And then take it out of the van and put it in the shed and all that. So that's quite a physical thing as well.
Yeah.
Farming. I was a banana farmer, of all things.
Yes.
That is on the side of a mountain. So that's a very physical activity. So all of those things through my life until I was about 40, I was highly active. I didn't really see it that way. It was just what I was doing. And then the music industry collapsed around 87, 88. So I then found a job after half a dozen years of sessional work, contracts and so on. I got a full-time job at the university.
Yeah.
And then spent 30 years there. Now, the difference between the first part of my life and the second part of my life is the first part was very mobile and the second part was very static.
Yes, that's interesting.
How was that for 2 or 3 minutes?
Yeah, no, that was pretty good. And in fact, it seems a perfect time to throw a few little statistics at you.
Oh, yes.
Just see what you think of these. In fact, they kind of confirm really what you're saying, but I just thought you might be interested. These are from the Australian Bureau of Statistics.
Yes.
And one study indicated that over 67% of Aussie uni staff were physically inactive, meaning that just 31% were active. Or 33% were active. You see how good my maths is.
That's right.
That's like,
I would say how good your
I do
arithmetic
yoga
is.
and Pilates, don't do maths. Giving it a good shot though here
That's
with some
right.
percentages for you. Would you agree with that in terms of what you've experienced? And just to add to that, do you think there's a desire around your peers or people that you work with to be physically active and they just don't have the time? Because from what I've understood from you, it's I'm talking from a place of complete personal ignorance, but that it's very high pressured and there's constant workload. So would you say it's people want to be active but just don't have the time, or is it more just don't want to?
No, I don't think it's don't want to. It's increasingly the case that I think academics, and I think this is also too, let's broaden it out to office workers or knowledge workers more broadly.
Right, yeah.
In other words, people who are stuck in front of their laptops or PCs or whatever.
Yes.
And can't escape that. I think there is a desire to actually get a balance in their life in some way or another. The way I coped with that was that I would park my car, I think about 4 k's away from my office.
Okay.
And I would walk in.
Yeah.
Up and down hill, and then instead of taking elevators, I would walk the stairs. So I would build as much activity in as I could. Now, having said that, the job itself, without going too far into it, is a 24 24/7 job, 24-hour-a-day job, if you let it be, and 7 days a week, if you let it be. And I think...
There's there's got to be a Beatles reference in there. Has there?
Well, I could talk about it being a hard day's night, or we work 8 days a week, or we could go
anyway.
on.
Just
and
for
by
those
the way,
that yeah,
buy my Paul McCartney book.
Yeah, quick plug. I'm not going to do it justice, but what I will say to people is that you're an expert on Paul McCartney. So sorry, we digress.
Yes. By the way,
yes.
I was invited onto the editorial board for the Beatles Studies Journal out of Liverpool University.
Oh, brilliant.
So there you go. There is such a thing.
Are you going to?
I already am.
Oh, there you go. How long's that been for?
The last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, right. Sorry. Okay, so get back on track. Okay, we're there. So we're talking about university staff.
Yes,
and your feelings there.
I think there's a desire to be well balanced human beings. I think that's increasingly the case for everybody.
Okay.
So I don't think they just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But that the job locks you into a physical environment, whether you think that's the case or not. Your mind is moving all over the place, but it's only in relation to that digital world. So you're gathering information from all over the world, as often is the case, and you're thinking about all sorts of brilliant things. But that's your mind being active, and your body's just sitting there, with its hands crooked over the keyboards and your eyes focused at the screen.
Yeah.
And you think you're being active because your mind is being highly active, but physically you're not. So that has to be compensated for in some way. But that statistic, I would say, would be fairly accurate. But I don't think the people who aren't as active as they could be don't have a desire not to do that. I think they want to be active and they want to be well balanced.
Do you want to make a change in your life? Have more energy? Be more present? Get results that will flow through to every aspect of your life? Live in flow with Sculpt and Flow. Reach out today, sculptandflow.com.au.
It's really interesting, obviously from our point of view, being the service providers, I guess, in this instance, is listening to that people want to. And then there's that... let's call it that threshold where, like, obviously yourself, obviously we're facilitating your training, but you've made it happen. So at some course that we've already spoken about along the line, you've made that choice, and it to not just do it, but to trust it, because and there's and I would say those two things. Those are separate steps in the journey, to not just do it, but then trust it. Because what are your thoughts there? Because just quickly to finish that, if people want to do it, but they're locked in, but you are inspiration because you're doing it. Where's that? If it's achievable for everybody, what could you offer that would be helpful to people? I guess is where I'm going.
I'll take another sideways step.
Okay, let's go.
Which you love me doing.
Okay, let's go.
And I'll tell the story that both you and Chris already know.
Yeah.
But I'm a musician, and I have been for quite a long time. In fact, that's probably the core of what I am and what I do.
Yeah.
So I did my first gig when I was 17, and hopefully I haven't played my last as yet. So I'm still involved in all sorts of ways. And part of that question of trust that you talked about, in other words, the trust of the process, comes from over decades learning to trust myself as a player.
Yeah.
Because you've got to have the discipline to keep playing, and really it's not a discipline at all, in as much as you don't have to be, inverted commas, disciplined to do it, because I love doing it. And I think I bring that to the training as well. Now, the trust part of it is that at some point you realise that you've done enough of this process in order to trust that your body knows how to react in certain situations. So I'm trusting now that my knees won't fall apart if I keep them active and, for want of a better word, lubricated. My hips won't let me down. Let's not be too tentative about moving in the world, because I need to trust what the exercise has done. So if I relate that back to this story about being a musician, you won't mind me telling this story. I can remember one night playing and had been out in the green room with the rest of the band in between sets. And as I said before, musicians do what musicians do. I came back out onto the stage ready to open up. I knew this first song had a really complex solo in it, but my brain certainly wasn't there. and my body was hardly there as well, having inebriated all sorts of substances out the back room. And then we started playing this song. I knew this solo was coming up, and my mind, in its foggy state, said to my hand, I said, fingers, you're on your own now. I can't help you. And then I watched my fingers play this solo quite perfectly.
Yeah.
Nobody would have known the difference.
Yeah.
And I trusted that all those years of disciplined practice and what I put into playing, etc., I trusted that would occur. And sure enough, it did.
Yeah.
But apart from being a humorous story, I think it's also an illustration of what you're talking about. If you keep at this process, and both yours and Chris' word is consistency, you do it on a daily basis, which I do, as well as the 3 days at the gym, your body will behave the way that you want it to behave eventually or whatever. And you would trust that would be the case. So I mentioned before that when I come to see you guys, what I get out of this is not just your expertise and care, but I also get the trust from that relationship that, in fact, this process is actually working.
Yes.
So is that a roundabout way to answer your question?
No, it's a great way to answer the question, because what I take out of that as well is your consistency, which, and again, the word, we're using the word trust a lot, but I think it's really appropriate here actually, because yes, you are trusting the process, and the fact that consistency, that would, I mean, we're in the background obviously as motivators and coaches helping you, but I have to reiterate and accredit kudos to you, Philip, because you could still go, nah, I'm not coming in today, or, whatever. But we're in the background helping, but you're the one that is making it happen. Is that empowering for you? I mean, I know from your life experience and everything that you have accomplished, do you look at your training? Because to me, when you talk about it, it sounds like it's like cleaning your teeth as part of your day. So when you've, I mean, that might be going a bit far, but it's part of it's coming into a habitual process, that it's something you need to do. Yeah. Do you find it empowering for yourself? Do you look at it as, I can do this. Like I can commit to this. I can make this happen. I mean, does it have that strain of thought in your mind about it having that result for you?
Yeah, I understand fully what you mean, but it's not overt. And I don't leap up from the breakfast table and go, punch my hand in the air and go, yoo-hoo, I'm empowered today.
We know you do. Don't lie.
Only in private.
You made a song up about it.
That's right.
I'm gonna sculpt and flow today.
Oh, well, there you go. I got it.
And Frank is
being recorded, isn't it?
It is. Frank is Philip's dog. He's on the drums. No, sorry, the triangle.
That's it. Yeah. Ding.
Sorry. So
where were we?
We were sorry, I digress. But we were talking about whether it's an empowering experience for you, and you were like, well, it is there, but it's not overt. It's not like you get up after breakfast
it's not overt,
skip out the door.
But it gives me confidence in my daily activity, and I think that's the crucial thing for me.
Okay.
I don't feel, in the classic use of the word, empowered.
Yeah.
Let me introduce you to another technical term. This comes from a French sociologist called Pierre Bourdieu, which I think is a great name.
Bless you.
Yeah. It's a term called habitus, which most of my colleagues would be aware of.
Okay.
That you can condition yourself, and we are anyway, to be predisposed to certain actions. So in other words, you acquire a habitus in the way that you would move through the social world or the cultural world or whatever the case. And it's far more complex than what I'm making it at the moment.
Yeah.
But I think that's the same thing with exercise. It becomes part of your makeup. It becomes part of just who you are, part of what you do. If you're consistent with it, and you accept the fact that it's there is no end goal here. There's only the journey, and the journey itself reaps benefits for you. And out of that, you can say, well, I've accomplished this at this point. I've accomplished this at this point. That's really good. Oh, look at that. I can do that. So on. But to me, empowering is a much more, it's a large word. It's magisterial. It's too much. But my experience is akin to having the confidence in my body to keep doing what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah. And I like that. I like looking at, it's that, and that's thank you for sharing that, because it's a really kind of helps me as one of your coaches. It gives me insight. It's lovely actually, because it's helps me kind of imagine how it could, whether it's physical activity with the grandkids or whether you are whatever it is you might be doing, that it does have that, it has had that impact in your mindset that you can.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that we haven't discussed.
Yeah.
Is I've been doing this in the car the last couple of days, and that's breathing from my diaphragm as I sing, and that's a really simple thing for a singer to understand.
Yeah.
But the notes that I'm hitting, not big notes or whatever, but it really has an effect on where your pitch is. And that's an odd thing to say after 70 years of playing and singing. Just as I think I told you this story too. I was using a handsaw.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, this is a good one.
And then I was, normally I would grit my teeth and I'd just get my way through that hard wood, and I'd saw and saw and saw. But then the last time I was working in the shed and, using the handsaw, I thought, I'll just breathe. And it made the whole thing work like butter. It was fantastic.
And I remember, for listeners, I remember distinctly that time when Philip came in for a session and said, and we were talking about, how you were and any wins or achievements off the mat and off out of the studio, and you said, look, you'll never believe this, and how interesting is it that that, as you said, as a singer and a musician, that you'd had this little.
After 70 years, I finally figured out that breathing was important.
But it's a really good one. Yeah. Like the fact that it's a good example of how it's made you more aware of it.
Yes, very much.
And we've worked and just working with you, like and we talk about this in sessions a lot. The subtleties, certainly what I would be looking for, and you've talked about, you've asked me in sessions, what can I see? If I'm giving you a certain assist on your back or something, like what are you seeing there for you to do that? Yeah, that's what I see a lot of are the kind of subtleties. So for someone else, it might not be a monumental thing. For me, if I see you inhale a little bit longer and I see you exhale a little bit longer, and then say I've learned how to breathe and I can use a saw, I mean that's brilliant. We've touched on a lot of benefits. I just want to give you an opportunity to. Is there anything significant about your experience with us at Sculpt and Flow? We've talked about them, because you're obviously your pod. This is your pod, which is how to get mobile with Sculpt and Flow. And you mentioned that you came from being very mobile to not mobile and then mobile again. Is there an overall, and again, I'm going to invite you to probably say something that has a lot of weight, but in about 2 sentences. But
I could do that.
You do that. Is there any benefit, Philip, that you feel that we haven't covered today?
I think the thing for me that's also we haven't touched on, is the personal relationship that has developed between, say, myself and yourself and myself and Chris.
Yes.
And Emily as well.
Yes.
And I know that's the case for Julie as well.
Mm.
And that in many ways is a motivator to come to the gym, because it's not just, formal hard work.
Yes.
With someone guiding you through that formal hard work. It's actually a pleasure to be there.
Thank you.
And sharing just, life's little ups and downs along the way. That's both a motivator and a attractor for Sculpt and Flow.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you being. This is really hand on heart. It's not just humbling experience. It's just a genuinely, one that it's going to hold very special place in my heart. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for being here, and I wish you a lovely day.
Thank you. I'll go and have some brekkie.
Go and have some more brekkie. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye. Proudly sponsored by Align Accounting, Newcastle's fresh approach to accounting, and Sage Painting, Newcastle's award-winning painting company.
Change your thoughts, transform your life with Sculpt and Flow. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. Please rate 5 stars wherever you listen.